Hello and welcome back to a brand new Player 2 review discussion. My name is Paul James. Today I'm joined by Player 2 writer and a bit of an expert on the genre that we're talking about today, Shaun Nichols. How are you, mate?
Pretty good. I wouldn't quite say I'm an expert.
More so than I am.
I'm familiar, definitely familiar with what we're talking about. So, yes. For those that haven't already known, I have talked about it before on the Pixelcast and on my Twitter feed. I study Shaolin, traditional Shaolin Kung Fu. So when the opportunity came up to do the review for Sifu, I jumped at the chance because it's right up there with what I love doing.
Yeah, no, it was a perfect pairing. So it was awesome to be able to get a couple codes and to be able to have this chat with you today. So I guess we should shout out Slow Clap and Kepler Interactive for providing some review codes. We've been playing it on PS5s over the course of the last few days. Your written review is still a little way away.
Yes.
And that's fine.
It's kicking
our asses, and it's a short turnaround from when we got the code as well. So that's just how these things go sometimes. Stay tuned for Shaun's review on the website, but we're going to have this little preliminary conversation now. Shaun's also put together a Player 2 Plays for people to check out if you want to see the game in action on the Player 2 YouTube channel. You might already be there, but if you're on the podcast feed, jump across to the Player 2 YouTube channel and you'll see Shaun talk about it in depth and see him playing and hopefully not failing too miserably. I haven't checked out the video yet.
Well, luckily for me, I did the first level, and I'd already played through it multiple times by that point, so I sort of knew what was coming. I still didn't do quite as well as I wanted to, but I didn't die until right near the end of that first level. So,
that's a good start then, because I've tried that out and
happy.
died a considerable number of times, even in the first level. So I've only done 2 runs of it so far, so I would hardly call myself a pro when it comes to that first level yet. But all right, let's talk about the game in a bit more depth. I guess starting even surface level. What have you been making of Sifu so far?
Well, it's a game if you want a deep narrative experience, don't go for Sifu.
It does seem a bit
It's very much your traditional Hong Kong cinema style story of, your master's been killed and you're on a quest for vengeance, and that's pretty much all you get.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, there's, at least so far, there's been no explanation given as to why when you die, A, you come back, and B, it ages you. Now, it's a really cool mechanic in the way they've done it, but there's just no explanation. It's basically the game is just like, this is what's going to happen, moving on, go beat up these guys. So it's not too much story-wise, but the fighting is really cool. It really excels at the fighting, and you feel like you're Jackie Chan or Jet Li when you're going in there, and you might have 6 different guys, and if you're having a good run and got your reflexes on point, you're just destroying them left, right, and center. Now, as you'll see in the Player 2 Plays video, on that first level, you've got the hallway section where there's about 6 or 7 guys, and it's quite interesting because I haven't seen the technique elsewhere in the game yet, where it pans to the side and you got that side-on view.
Yeah.
But then just you're going through and just kicking the crap out of these guys, and pick up the weapon they drop, and it's just bang, bang, bang. The takedowns are brutal, and it's really cool. You really feel like a badass doing that one section. You really feel like a kung fu master. At least I did.
Yeah, see, actually, that's really interesting. For me, I feel like I'd lost a whole bunch of momentum when I went through that. Not the game. The game didn't lose momentum, but me, in terms of my ability to play the game, I lose momentum every time I go there. That change in perspective, you can kind of have two guys that are kind of almost standing side by side, so you can't quite see one of them right. Like, you're still in kind of this 3-dimensional space, but they've just kind of panned.
But it's a 2D.
That side-on view. So you lose a bit of depth in the process. And so I've struggled a little bit when it's made those transitions. I'm sure I'll get better at it. And you have played. I mean, for the sake of this, I guess I've played a couple of hours. You've played more so than I have. But so there's still some adjustments that I can make. But yeah, as brilliant as it looks, and it's a really cool effect what they're going for. I'm feeling like I've gone into that sequence a few times having basically not taken a hit, and then
Yep.
the wheels just completely fall off when I get into that section there, and I end up dying a couple times or just copping an absolute beating along the way. And it does kind of nip that momentum in the bud, which has been a bit frustrating, but something I'm sure I'll adjust to.
See, it's your first big group fight. Like leading up to that point, it's just singles and a double, or no, there is a section with 3 people just before it, but that's the first time you've got a really big group of enemies.
Yeah.
And like it's really easy to block and keep tracking, and attempt to parry when you're only fighting 1 or 2 guys. When you get surrounded by a bunch of enemies, then it gets a lot harder and a lot difficult, because it breaks down your blocking bar and allows them to start wailing on you a lot faster. And if you get surrounded and if you don't take them out fast enough, then you are in for a world of hurt. Like I'm at the point now where when I do, like if I'm going through that section, I'm only doing it because I'm grinding for the XP.
Yeah.
And I'll clear out all the way up to it, then pretty much run back downstairs, grab a metal pole that I know is near the entrance to the game, then run back and take out the 3 before that hallway. So that way I'm rocking in there with a metal bar. So it's the first 3 guys are down in like 5 seconds. Just bang, bang, takedown. Also, like making sure, like as soon as I see that triangle and circle button, meaning they're ready for a takedown, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I'm hitting it, because that's, their iframes essentially. It protects you, especially if you are surrounded, and being that there is no way to gain health in the game except doing takedowns, you just want to take them every.
You've got to cash in every time you can.
Exactly, because otherwise, as you said, once they start beating you and you just start losing that health, it just gets that much harder. Yeah.
And I mean, that, like, obviously from there, and I referenced, dying a few times in that particular space, but like that mechanic, which you've also touched on, is really fascinating one. Like there's the pros and cons that come with the aging process that your character goes through does play a big part in the combat there, in terms of, okay, you can deal more damage, but your health is
take a lot less hits.
So, I've been trying to work out, like, am I feeling better about this or worse about this? Because at the moment, I think like I'm better offensively, not so much defensively. I think I'm still struggling a little bit to get the parry timing quite right. In a lot of instances, I feel like that's a very tight window, and that's not bad design, but it's my inability that's kind of coming to bite me a little bit there.
It's the sort of thing, like, those that love the Souls games and, the precision of, the blocking and parrying.
This is for you.
They'll feel right at home with that. People like me, like, I'm the guy that played Jedi Fallen Order and just did it on normal. And then, when I got to a few sections that were a bit too tough, dropped the difficulty down so I could get past it and keep going. I'm not the sort of person that will just... go, nah, I'm going to suck it up and deal with it, and, until I've got this perfect. I just get too frustrated. I mean, even earlier today, I was getting a bit frustrated because I'd keep getting to the same point in the second level and just dying, getting my ass kicked. Yeah. And then I had a breakthrough and, found the shortcut, essentially unlocked the shortcut, which you can do, and then started to progress a little bit further. But now every time I get to the boss of that second level, I'm just getting my ass kicked by him, because I haven't figured out the best method to deal with him yet.
And I guess like something we've not touched on, or at least in any great depth so far, is, so yes, there's that combat which can be really quite brutal and really takes it to you at times, but on top of that, you've got these roguelike elements that involve the skills that you acquire throughout the game. So you get a whole host of XP as you progress, just from beating down goons. That's how most video games work, and you can upgrade your skills or learn new ones, but you won't actually retain them unless you, I think, upgrade the skill 5 times or something like that, and then it becomes a permanent thing.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that it'll, like, say you're doing a run and you have just trying to think. Say there's a charged back fist,
Yeah.
right? I can't remember if it's 750 XP or 1,000. For the sake of argument, we'll say 1,000. Now, say you're running through and you manage to hit it 2 times, like 2 times more. That'll stick through you for your next run, so you don't have to get the 5 full unlocks. Well, 6 total
in that
unlocks,
one run, yeah.
But you don't need to get the 5 in that one run. But that was something that wasn't really explained, and I wasn't paying too much attention to the bit that was underneath. I was just looking at how much to unlock. So in my first run, I'm like, oh, cool, I'll unlock that, I'll unlock that, I'll unlock that.
Yeah, you went a bit scattergun.
And then I've gone to do, the move the next time I've gone to play, and I'm like, what? Where the fuck's all my shit? What the hell?
Yeah, so you gotta commit that XP to at least unlock it the once, so it's then back in your rotation.
Yeah.
Or
so
wholly commit to it and make it permanent.
Now it's very much like as I said, like I've only just started getting to the boss of 2nd level, but I'm just running through that whole level, just fighting everyone at the moment, so that way I can unlock the next set of things, and basically trying to just make my fighter as strong as possible.
Yeah.
Like being able to I will want to strongly recommend the environmental mastery. Once you unlock that means like stools, little seats that are like ottomans on the ground and stuff, you'll kick them into people and knock them down. Well, most of them, some of them will dodge it, but that just gives you more options. Like if you're fighting 6 or 7 people, boom, you can kick an ottoman, that's going to trip someone up, and then you can either
gives you a bit of breathing room,
or and like my biggest weakness at the moment is I have a group of people, I'm just standing there trying to block and parry and punch and beat the crap out of them, rather than utilizing the room, like hopping over a table to create some distance, so that the first one comes over, boom, you wail on him a little bit. It's very much, you need to adapt your play style. You can just try and brute force it, but if you use the environment, then you'll find a lot more weapons or like bottles that you can throw at people and whatever.
I mean, those, you're right, those evasive things that you do usually lead to you actually finding something that's actually a handy resource to use in the fight, whether it's a bottle or a pipe or whatever it happens to be, or a simple piece of furniture that you can use to create even further distance. It is worth it to do that, but you're right, kind of training yourself to get out of there is one of the things that I think early days, I think we're all, and again, it sounds like you and I are very similar when it comes to our approach to even Souls games and those sort of things, where I guess we don't spend as much time thinking defensively or evasively. It's more go in head first. So we're being punished a little bit for that at the moment, but we're both realizing the same thing, which is if I do take that backward step, or if I do look around and try and utilize what's around me, I'm actually setting myself up for a greater chance of success.
Yeah, and giving yourself more opportunities. Like I grew up playing things like Double Dragon and Final Fight. You had very little to no defense then. It was just you go in, you just pound that button to beat up your enemies, and that was it. There wasn't that much strategic thinking. Whereas in this, even sometimes like I've got an area now, like when I'm farming essentially for the XP, it's like, okay, cool, I'll head into the club, beat up the 2 guys near the door, then there's a bat, grab that, take that in, because there's about 7 people in the next room, and I know I can take out 3 or 4 of them very quickly using the bat. And then I've got those little cushions and ottomans to kick around, and there's bottles scattered around, so it definitely, my strategy is changing, but it's just it's just then adapting. Like I said, I'm stuck on this boss fight because I haven't figured out how to adapt to him yet, because he's just swinging around a big staff. And,
okay, I remember which one, because there's kind of that little opening title credits screen there, where you take every single one of them on in this tiny little self-contained thing. So I know what you're talking about.
So trying to figure out that, and I mean it's funny because one of the fights just before him is where you first actually get a proper staff. Up until that point, it's just piece of bamboo or a metal pipe or
whatever you find.
bottles. So then trying to use, it was almost like a mini boss fight, and trying to take out that person with the staff when I'd never used it before was difficult, you know. And I now subsequent playthroughs, I run in there with a stick that I've got from before, and either use that or barehanded, because that's what I'm much more comfortable dealing with at the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're both still got a lot to learn about this game so far.
Yes, definitely.
Visually though, it's quite striking. Like the facial animations, or like the faces that they've rendered are a little bit, I don't know, a little bit jarring. They don't quite, and I don't mean like in a quality sense, but like the artistic style they've gone for, it doesn't 100% marry up with the stylings of the world around it.
Yeah.
But, which has kind of been a little bit weird at times. But I mean, everything looks really good, even if it doesn't 100% fit all the time, I suppose.
Yeah, like I was surprised that when I went to download it, like it's only 8 gigs, something like that for the game. So to get it looking that good for that low, like, blew me away.
Look, it's a very linear sort of thing there. Obviously, as you mentioned, there's some shortcuts and those sort of things, but like they can design a pretty clear path and keep you to it. It makes it a little bit more straightforward. And mechanically, they're very defined set of skills that are there, and you just unlock them or you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like the sound effects. The audio design has been fantastic in that sense. Like when you punch,
oh yes,
like you can hear it. There's that really solid, and you would know this far better than I, but like there is a distinct sound when a fist makes contact with, you know, certain parts of the body, and you can hear those little differences.
Yeah,
I found,
and especially like with when you've got the metal bit of piping.
Oh, and yeah, and of course when you're using
thunk when you're hitting someone across the face with that, like, whew.
It's a good feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, but like, I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing. Like, yeah, am I getting frustrated with it? Yes, but that's because of my lack of skill, and as we discussed, my need to adapt my playstyle and whatever. Like, I'm loving this game. I'm hating that I'm not good at it, but I'm loving this game.
Yeah. So there's a lot for the both of us to learn. Any other thoughts that you've got about the game? That we've not touched on?
Not really. Like, we've pretty much covered everything all of the major things that have come up at the moment. Like, do I wish it had a bit more fleshed out information and stuff? Yeah. Like, I was just randomly looking at the investigation board when I realized it's got a bunch of things in the bottom left corner which actually tell you some of the information that you'd normally get during a tutorial or an intro or something like that. Like, it's definitely a weird design choice to not at least give you this information or make it easily accessible.
Yeah.
But you know, it is there if you find it, and you can, you know, essentially you will pick it all up as you're going along.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And yeah, look, it is. I'm not spending, like, I find these things in the world or whatever, and they get added to the pinboard. I don't really give them much thought at the time. I do kind of try and pick through them after I get back, when I'm kind of back at the base, and have a bit of a read through some of the stuff that's going on. It's not, as you said before, the story's not overly deep, and even those little pieces that you find don't add a huge amount to them. But
yeah.
It's there. It's pretty, like, the stuff's easy enough to access. They're not trying too hard to hide those things from you either. So you can get like, in terms of that story and some of the background stuff, you can pretty easily get everything you need out of it. So it's alright in that sense.
Just the one big thing that surprised me was, I think it was about my fourth time playing through and having beaten the first level.
Yeah.
It was only then that I realized that if at your base you go to the tree in the next room and you can spend XP there.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't tell you that you can go there to
spend that is XP. A good point. There's a lot that they don't say.
Yeah, like I would literally be finishing the first level, then waiting until I either died or got to the first shrine in the second level to spend the XP from the boss fight, which doesn't make sense, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, that is a good point. They don't signpost things super well or explain things, tutorialize things as good as they possibly could. But you're right, there is a lot to love about the game. So yeah, any other final thoughts as we wrap it up, or are we good?
No, I think that covers everything. Just I'll have the review done
In the near
when
future.
I either well, in the near future when I either beat the thing or
it's
I
broken you.
wave the white flag.
Yeah.
And
Look, this has been a great conversation anyway. There's been lots of insight. And I think for anyone who's umming and ahhing about whether they do or don't pick up the game, I'm sure this has still provided a very clear answer for them, whichever way they choose to go. If they've liked what they heard, if they don't. If you're a Souls fan, you're probably going to adapt to what the game's asking of you more so than someone who's not. But yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff there.
It'll be interesting to see if Slow Clap patch in like an easy mode or something like that.
I would love to see some difficulty
down the track
level stuff.
Because then
for us plebs,
yeah, exactly. Those of us that want to experience it all but don't have the time to hone those skills.
Yeah,
but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting one, and certainly one that I'd very much appreciate. All right, we'll wrap things up there. Shaun, you've just made your review discussion debut. Thank you very much for coming on board to have this chat, mate.
Not a problem, man. Anytime.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Hopefully people... You go on, sorry.
Hopefully people enjoy it and enjoy the Sifu video that's going to be up on YouTube as well.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Chuck 5 stars on podcast feeds, on the patched feed if you're checking it out on the podcast service side of things. Visit the website, player2.net.au. That's where you'll catch Shaun's review eventually, as well as a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. Lots of features. February's a very big period for reviews and previews and the like, so go check out Matt Hewson's recent preview of Ghostwire Tokyo. Jess will be reviewing Horizon Forbidden West in the near future. I'm joining her for a review discussion of that sometime in the near future as well. And then there's still big things like, I guess we referenced Souls before, there's things like Elden Ring still to come and the like, so there's plenty of stuff that's coming this month that people should be keeping their eyes out for on the Play 2 website. We're on Patreon as well. Make sure to go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/player2.net.au. And Shaun, social media, where can people go to check out what you're up to?
You can find me on Twitter at ShaunHubP2, which has been above me for the entire discussion. But yeah, find all my
still an excellent Twitter handle
on there. Yep. And that's about it, pretty much.
Paul James Games for me. The website's Player2AU. Again, Shaun, thanks for coming on board for this one. Sifu is out this week, so please, if you've liked what you've heard about the game, consider picking it up. It's on PlayStation. I can't remember, was it on PC as well?
It's on Steam, I believe. It's coming on Steam.
Great. So if you're a PC player or a PlayStation player, you've got access to it this week, so consider picking it up. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching and or listening. We'll see you later.
See you.